Hello everyone, I'm the Lawnmower Detective and thanks for coming back to this episode of the Lawnmower Detective. Today we're going to be talking about honesty, dealing with customers and things of that nature, so please stay tuned. I'll get right into the story of this lawnmower. An ordeal months in the making, and the reason being is that this mower has been sitting here for probably since the beginning of the mowing season this year. And the story behind it is I sold this mower to a couple who acted like they were down on their luck, and they know who they are if they're watching this. So I had this thing listed for $100. They came in and they talked me down to $80, which is fair for this thing, you know, but I usually get $100 for the high wheel. This is a 6 horsepower Briggs & Stratton quantum style engine. It's a good running machine. Nothing really wrong with it at all. So they take it home for $80, and I actually held it for 2 days. Other people wanted it and wanted to pay me full price, but I didn't back out on my side of the deal. So anyway, they come up and get it and pay me for it and take it home. And 2 days later, I get a message on my phone saying, "Hey, we were using that mower and it started smoking a little bit and then just quit running altogether." And I was like, "Well, okay." I said, "Remember when you came up here to look at the mowers?" I said, "I had one that was relatively new. It was only like 2 years old, if that. And it was a Pulsar." I said, "I had it listed for 160. I said, which is, you know, obviously twice as much as you wanted to spend. I said, "Just bring me the mower you bought from me. Bring me another $80 if you could, and you can have this other one." So they jumped on the deal. I mean, it was too quickly. In hindsight, I understand why. So this morning, I finally get around to putting this thing up on the bench, starting to check it out. I wanted to know what exactly happened to it, why it stopped running, because it was a good running machine when it left here. So now, mind you, they had it for like 2 or 3 days. The oil level was perfectly on the mark when it left here, and now for some reason it's down to the add mark. And being the detective that I am, I started digging into it and haven't got very far, but I think this is going to be the telltale sign. So just keep an eye out for this. Watch this. There's going to be some still photos in here too, but the first thing I did was jack it up. And I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me possibly get you in there. Oh yeah, that's not a bad shot at all. That's even better than the still photos I took. Okay, so as you can see on this side, this side of the blade is perfectly flat and level. But this side is bent down, oh, I would have to say 1.5 inches. It's almost hanging, it's actually hanging out of the bottom of the deck about 1/8 of an inch. Now, having been the one that sharpened this blade and balanced it myself before it left here, that obviously I would not let that go out of my shop like this. So as you can see, they've hit something and then they want to blame it on my mower. So what we're going to do is get into this a little further, and I've already checked with my laser, and the shaft is probably about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/32 of an inch out. So they bent the shaft on it. So I'm also suspecting that the flywheel keys sheared as well, why it wasn't running very well after that. So we'll get into that. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to get into this a little bit. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I use every tool in my shop is a multi-tool, I guess you could say. They've got multi-purposes. And this is, I don't know if you can see that, but that's probably my straightest Phillips screwdriver, I think. So, like I said, most of my tools in the shop have multi-purposes, whether they're designed that way or not. They get used for various things. It's called improvising, adapting, and overcoming. You know what I mean? Get that off of there. So we'll get these 3 8mm bolts out of here and work on getting that shroud cover off. Let's hope they're 8mm, because that's what I grabbed. Oh yeah. I'm going old school today, ladies and gentlemen. Hand tools. Some of you older folks out there could appreciate that. Some of you newer folks might not appreciate it, but it is what it is. So the whole premise behind this video is the fact that, you know, I mentioned honesty to begin with in the beginning of the video. And unless these people just absolutely lived under a rock, they know that they hit something with this thing. Now, whether they lifted it up and looked at the blade and had the knowledge to know that, hey, that blade's not supposed to be shaped like an S, you know, I can understand that, but for the most part, I'm just gonna tilt this back, leave that attached. Find a 10mm. So like I was saying, unless they live under a rock and they had no idea of any type of mechanical issues or whatsoever, but you know if you hit something with a lawnmower. I mean, trust me, I've done it before and you know it. It's the noisiest thing I've ever heard. But when you're down on your luck and you don't want to pay more money for something that you couldn't afford in the first place, you know, I give people that. Oh, that's 3/8. So, but I don't appreciate people when they try to make it like, oh, it's my fault. You know, I just bought this thing 2 days ago and now it's not running, it won't cut, you know, it's smoking. Well, there's probably a reason why. And so leave me some comments down there and tell me what you all would do in that type of situation. I mean, the deal is months past, you know, and I'm not heartbroken over it. You know, I'm not out really anything. But it's just the principle of the matter. So do you think I should send them a Facebook message saying, hey, I just got around to digging into that mower you brought back, and the evidence says that you hit something with it, but yet you tried to make it seem like it was my fault. You think I should let it be, or maybe wake a sleeping dragon, or, you know, I don't know. My first inclination is to probably just not say anything, but I'll just fix it and make sure it's in its best form before it leaves out of here again, and flip it again, I guess. But I'm not the type of person who will, well, I'm using a 8mm as well to get this dipstick tube off of this shroud here, in case you didn't notice that. Sorry about that. I get to running off at the mouth, and I get diarrhea of the mouth sometimes and forget what I'm doing, or forget what I should be telling you all. So there's a fuel line popped off. But anyway, like I said, this thing was in tip-top shape when it left here. As you can see how shiny this stuff is up here. I mean, I had it all cleaned up. This was all clean and everything, you know. Not to say that it was perfect, but it was way better than it is right this moment. So I'll be trying out my 1/2" impact here in just a second. Yeah, you can see where I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is all clean here on the magneto, the coil. I've cleaned it all up and before I sent it out and make sure it was, you know, everything was great in here. So, but we'll get this flywheel nut off of here. We'll just let that, let me get a shop towel over here. Be right back. In case I didn't tell you guys, thanks for being here. I mean, I highly appreciate everybody coming back to watch my videos, and I hope you have a good time while you're here, because I sure enjoy you guys. You know, I've seen a lot of your all's videos talking about customers, and do customers lie to you, and is the customer always right? In this instance, absolutely not. The customer was not right to do that to me on this mower. Like I said, judging from the blade condition, they had to know they hit something. There's no way around it. And I hate to keep harping on that, but what can you do, right? So just stand by for a second while I dig up a battery for my Ryobi 1/2" impact gun. If you guys haven't seen these things before, I know some of you guys have the Makitas and the Milwaukees and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a low budget kind of guy. So I really enjoy this thing here. You'll see here in just a second. Hope it doesn't make a liar out of me. Right on national TV to the world. But if it does, well, suck it up and roll on, right? Can y'all see that? Oh yeah. No qualms with that whatsoever. That sucker took that thing right off of there. And lo and behold, I am going to use a different camera for this shot, so I don't have to move you guys. So what you're gonna see here in just a couple seconds is a picture-in-picture screenshot of this flywheel key here. But of course, that's my fault. I'm the one that did that, apparently. Let me get you in here as close as possible. Now, it does not take a rocket scientist or even a mediocre first level engineer to figure out that that flywheel key has been sheared right there. Straightforward. I'll even get my crooked screwdriver in here and point it out to you. Right there. This is the key way. This is the key. This is supposed to be over here. So it has absolutely been sheared. So thank you, Briggs & Stratton, for putting this safety mechanism in here. It actually saves a lot of engines. So if you're watching on that screen and saw it on this screen, you get to watch it twice. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so now all we really got to do now is get the flywheel off of here, and I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. Some of you all will probably cringe, but that's how I like to do it. And then we'll get this thing back together and try to find a nice blade for it. Because that thing's shaped like an S on this end over here. So let me grab what I need and I'll be right back. Actually, I'll just leave you running. Okay, gang. So I'm going to use a pry bar and a BAH. This is a brass hammer, or if you know what a BAH stands for, then you know what that means. So all I'm going to do is just find a little small, see that flywheel moves up just a tad. I'm not putting much pressure on it at all. And since that's a tapered shaft, it won't take much, but probably 1 or 2 hits to get that to pop up. So I'm going to go below that. Noise alert. So that was 3 or 4 hits. So, and in my best Terrell impersonation voice, Terrell, you're gonna tear that flywheel up. You're gonna hurt the engine. Why are you whacking on it like that? What did it ever do to you? All right, so here's the flywheel key. As you can see, it's almost completely focused. It's almost completely sheared. So like I said, thank you, Briggs & Stratton, for that invention. I'll go grab another one. I'll be right back. Okay, gang. I got my new flywheel key, which costs just a few cents, actually. And I'm looking down here in the keyway, and there's a little bit of debris down here from where... There we go. So all you got to do now is line up your keyway, just like so. Sometimes these keys, the key itself doesn't like to go down in there. So you might want to raise up on it. And send the whole thing down at the same time. Give it another little push. Now our timing is absolutely back to where it should be now, and I bet you this thing will run like a mad hatter. And take this opportunity to go ahead and, while you're under here, and check everything, make sure you don't have any oil leaks coming up through the governor shaft, or you know, your breather tube is not cracked and your coil is intact and all your linkages and everything. There's nothing missing, no missing springs or anything. Because otherwise you put it back together and it won't run, and then you have to take it back apart, and you don't want to do that. Trust me, I don't want to do that. Okay, so new flywheel key. And we'll put our cup back on. Some of these cups have little indicators here, locators on the bottom that rest up against some of these molded flanges in the flywheel. But however, this one doesn't. This one is just held in place with the friction of the cup itself and the nut. You don't want to cross thread that thing either, man. Trust me, I did that a long time ago. I was hating life. So we're going to get our trusty impact gun, put a hurting on it. That is not going anywhere. Pardon me. So that's good to go. Now all we got to do is get the shroud back on and get everything put back together, and I am not going to cut you off. I'm going to let you take the ride with me. So I'm going to talk to you while I'm doing this. Bore you to death. So you're going to put your shroud back on, and since you can't see what's on the other side, I like to take a walk around the other side before I actually cinch that down, because there might be one of these airflow panels on this side of the engine, and lo and behold, I got it right the first time. But sometimes you have to, as the shroud comes down, that piece of metal will either get tucked in or be on the outside, so it has to come down and go in that groove. So we're good there, so we can go ahead and button that up. Can't tell you how many times I've done that. You always got to move them around a little bit to line these holes up. Hope I didn't put my big fat head in your way there. And these are just the 10 mil bolts that you took out a little bit ago. Come on, girl. You can do it. There we go. It pays to have an extension on your socket when you go to put these in the back here, because there's always something in the way. And, you know, just put those bolts back in the way you took them out and the holes you took them out of, and you should be good to go. And you don't have to torque them down or crazy or anything. Just, you know, snug them up and this should be it. It's not rocket science. So you guys make sure you leave me some comments down there about what you think I should do. Again, about contacting the person that tried to make it seem like this was my fault. Because I'm very interested to hear what you guys got to say. I value all of your input and your comments. Let's see, I gotta put this. For those of you who were yelling at me about, put the dipstick tube back, put the dipstick tube back on, Terrell. I appreciate that, because I would have forgotten. I heard y'all holler. Don't forget the dipstick tube, detective. I'm probably going to get a copyright strike on that, but you know, what can you say? I like to repeat things that are funny and resourceful, and Terrell is just about the funniest feller I know, next to Rusty Rooster. Well, I tell you what, that feller's funny. I think he just came out of the womb funny. He was born that way. I used to have a sense of humor like that, but I work with people. You work with people long enough, you tend to get jaded a little bit, and but people are my business, so I don't want to. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. Okay, I think we're getting close. Put that plastic shroud back on. Now, if anybody out there knows a good way, oh man, I figured it out by myself. I have the hardest time with some of those rope holder things up there. Sometimes when I put them in, the rope goes in and around, and then it's on the top side of the bracket, and then you gotta take it back out, and then you find a new way to put it back through, and then it's on the bottom side, and it's, anyway. If any of you all have a foolproof method on how to get that rope back through there without getting it all whopper jarred like I just did. However, I did get lucky on that. The first time, I kind of liked that. That went right through there. I got lucky. And here's my straight screwdriver. Put that back on. Don't let me forget I have to double check that fuel line over there, because it popped off whenever I leaned the tank back. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Put it over here on the auxiliary bench. I haven't replaced that blade on there yet, but I want to make sure that this thing's going to run before I put any more time and effort into it. So we're going to check the fuel line on the other side. And I normally don't start things up on the table like this, but today we're going to. I've already got the bail pinned back with a clamp. Nothing underneath. Let's double check. Nothing hiding under there. I'll check that fuel line on the other side. Grab my fuel line pliers while I'm doing that, just so I can double check this clamp here. There we go. Put that on there, make sure we got some petrol in there. Nope, not much at all. Probably wouldn't be enough to run if we had to. Let me just walk over here. There's a little bit left in this can. Be enough to do what we got to do today. If y'all haven't seen my video on this transfer pump here, you should check it out. This should be more than enough for what we're doing today. We just want to see if she's going to run. Seeing if it smokes like our honest customer stated that it did. It might have smoked with it, with the timing being off that bad, and not, I know it didn't run very well. So it could have smoked. The timing was off so bad. Let me set this over here, right next to the fire extinguisher. Speaking of fire extinguishers, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have fire extinguishers in your shop, dealing with as much gas and combustibles as we do, you are absolutely wrong. So I don't know if you can see in this shot or not. Let's see. Yep, there's one right there. That's an ABC one. On the floor at the other end of this bench is a CO2. It's a 5-pound CO2 fire extinguisher. And in the far bay over there where I do most of my meat smoking and stuff, I've got another 5-pound CO2 fire extinguisher over there. So be safe, be wise, be insured. All right, let's give this thing a tug and see if we can't get her going here. Oh yeah, she'll run on that all day. So again, I normally don't start stuff here when it's up on the table. So just be advised that there's a very sharp instrument spinning around. If you do something like this, don't, put your hands underneath there, because you'll pull back a nub. All right. I don't hear it priming. And again, if you all didn't get a chance to watch Bruce's video this morning, bless your heart, Bruce. I appreciate you, man. You going through everything you're going through with your family and all that, and you're still out here. Oh yeah, it's priming. Still putting videos out, and high quality videos too. I like the way you heated up that air intake assembly and got her all flattened out, priming on the first squirt. I like that. Okay, plug is on. Plug wire, high tension lead, whatever you want to call it. Fuel, she's priming. Give her a few more squirts. And noise alert. And there you have that, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of smoke come out, but that's understandable for being turned up on its side like it was earlier. Not a problem. Other than that, I think this job is a good one. What do you think, Ash? So again, let me just reiterate some things about customer honesty. I'll bring you back in just a few minutes while I finish my rant. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it was just basically a sheared flywheel key that took care of the issue. Before I get started on my rant, if you haven't yet, make sure you see Rusty Rooster up there on the screen. Make sure you go check out my boy, Rusty Rooster. Great content over there. He is absolutely amazing. So don't forget to slide over there and check out the Rusty Rooster. He is amazing. So anyway, right back to the subject at hand. Hang on, Rusty's yammering on back here.
CB 160 Honda. Pop that side cover off that air filter.
I had to pause you there, Daddy Rabbit. But anyway, sometimes your customers aren't going to tell you the truth, obviously. Some people are good people. Some people are bad. So just take it with a grain of salt. Do your detective work. And, like I said before, you guys let me know in the comments what you think I should do. Should I confront them about it, or should I just let sleeping dogs lie? So with that being said, I appreciate y'all being here. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave any comments you want to. And if you feel like sharing this out, absolutely do so as well. And don't forget to check out my boy, Rusty Rooster, on his channel. So until next time, y'all don't forget, it's donut time.